Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in this AFK journey video, we're going to talk about the most meta PVE teams for Bonnie. So Bonnie just released on the global server and I actually tried a few combinations with her with regards to the team setup. And I would like to say that this Iron Armors variant probably got upgraded because of her. So I'm going to explain why and why this is the most meta team right now and why this team is insanely powerful, except if let's say you face against control immune units. So first of all, Iron Armors as well as Tamasia, this 3 core has been one of the strongest control core this season, and they have been a pretty decent control core for quite a bit because of Armor's Prowling Roots ability. So this synergizes really well with all the movement effects, control effects, as well as knock into the air effect, and then therefore we have Tamasia for that control, for the additional frontlining power, as well as that additional self-heal. And then we have Iron for the reposition, the magical defense debuff from Ice Spike, as well as the Supreme Plus skill over here, and also obviously some frontlining power in the form of Tempest Guard. And this is where Armors, Tamasia, as well as our Iron over here will be able to give you the control to hold the enemy in place, and what you'll be lacking would be damage. So usually the damage cost would be Carolina together with Arden, Carolina together with Tarsi, and these cores are good, okay? But the addition of Bonnie makes things even better. So let me explain why. Because previously, if you were to compare Carolina as well as our dear Bonnie over here, both of them, they are Grave Bonds. Both of them, they deal decent damage. But Carolina buffs up your damage even more by giving this magical defense debuff. So Carolina herself hits really hard. She's able to provide for that control and also provide more damage for the team. But Bonnie is even better, right? Bonnie deals a lot of damage on her own. She's able to out damage most of the magical damage dealers right now, and she's also able to provide for the buff for your team with the enhanced force over here, which is quite easy to satisfy because your team is full of magical attackers that starts damaging almost immediately at the start of battle. So when you cast Decay Switch, that target with the aging effect will get the maximum stack almost immediately, and this means that this ability will proc Blight Surge almost immediately as well, because when aging stack reaches the maximum stack, it will just spread to other enemies to cause this AoE aging effect. And aging effect right here is not just a damage skill, but also a haste down as well as attack down. So this means that Bonnie not only provides damage, not only provides a buff for the team, but more importantly, greater survivability by just nerfing the damage output from the opponent itself. And last but not least, even if Bonnie were to pass away, which is unlikely because Bonnie does have a self position skill in Nightfall Shift, so she can actually reposition herself into a more safe spot to be more protected compared to Carolina. So Carolina's relatively frail and she's not mobile, so she could be snapped down pretty easily by the opponent's PvE teams itself. But for Bonnie, she's frail, but she has some protection skill to keep herself safe. So when you combine all that, this makes Bonnie a lot better in this team compared to Carolina. And in fact, I've tried this team for like a 30-minute autoplay and just a lot of stages. It's just on the top left-hand side. I've been playing it since the start to showcase the power of this team. So this is why I say this Bonnie team over here is one of the most powerful and the meta one in the game right now. So to synergize with Bonnie, the last unit, it could be Arden. It could also be Tarsi over here. I prefer Tarsi because Tarsi actually gives you more ultimate damage with the Eternal Dreamscape, enough carrying potential, as well as a AoE sleep, which bypasses some effect which I think Iron, Armors, or Tamasia cannot actually control the enemy with. So this is where Tarsi comes in, right, to be dealing that damage as a main damage dealer or as a secondary damage dealer, as well as having this additional life to run in front, maybe die, come back to life, kill somebody, get more lives on Frontline Dream, and then keep the cycle going there. So for this one, we will put Frontline Spell because I want my frontliners to be super duper tanky, and the additional stats provided by the Frontline Spell is extremely helpful for your whole team to survive better, as well as get some HP back from the life drain itself. So without further ado, let's showcase this battle. So at the start of battle, Iron pulls everyone in, right? Tamasia charges in front for additional control, and you can see the whole bunch of debuffs on the enemy, right? You have a magical defense down, you have attack down, you have a haste down, and you also have additional damage up with Bonnie's Supreme Plus skill. And like I mentioned earlier, right, even if Bonnie were to be snapped down here, right, she will be able to still provide damage for the team, which I'll showcase later. So right now, Bonnie is just completely stunned over there. She haven't used her ultimate yet. So later on, we'll run through the damage distribution to just showcase what she can do. So this is where she unstuns herself, or she's unstunned, and then she casts her ultimate. Okay, and then we have all this control from our Iron, Almas, as well as Thermasia, good old control trio. And with Tarsi in the mix itself, further being buffed up by the frontline spell, we are able to hold the enemy in place and then have our carries in the form of Bonnie as well as Tarsi kill the enemy from there. Okay, so just going to 3 times it because this battle is going to be like this later on. We'll showcase a few battles. So this is the damage distribution, as you guys can see. Okay. Bonnie being able to do so much damage even though she's controlled for like a good 7 seconds by Damien at the start of battle is really impressive. And this is just the start, so this is battle number 1. So the next battle, we're gonna showcase it against this water minion over here. So this water minion has this elemental shield, which means that they take lesser magical damage. And for this one, I'm gonna give Arden a try. So we're gonna put Arden here. We're gonna use Verdant spell here for the additional damage, and let's see this team performance. Okay, so enemies have control, enemies also have magical damage reduction, which means that my magical damage units, they are not supposed to bring this spirits down because they take less damage from them. But if you take a look at the sheer amount of damage coming out from Arden as well as Bonnie right here, you guys can see the powerfulness of this team, or how powerful this team is. Yeah, so one thing about Arden is that Arden's ultimate actually hits multiple enemies and hits them multiple times. So this is where when Bonnie exists on the battlefield, just having Bonnie there with the Supreme Plus ability greatly increases Arden's damage output as well. So let me just finish this battle and then we'll run through the damage scores itself. Okay, so I use a pretty standard OD with Rowan team in the second team. Very solid team here. So this will be probably the 2 main teams that I run to just run through my auto battle right now on a day-to-day basis itself. Okay, so throws out all the ultimate, and then we have tidal wave proccing. Okay, so right here we have the damage distribution. So this is the post-battle analysis, and you can see that Bonnie delivers the most damage in this team, despite being controlled for a good, I'll say like 3 to 5 seconds, somewhere in the middle of the battle by the Earth Soul. So right here, another synergy between Arden as well as Bonnie is the ultimate being further buffed up by Bonnie's Supreme Plus skill as well, because Bonnie's Supreme Plus skill buffs up magical damage, but at the same time also buffs up the ultimate damage on top of that. It's like extra damage. So Arden, being a very ultimate spammy character, is gonna benefit greatly. So it's either between Tarsi as well as Arden, because they both have insanely good ultimates, they both have insanely good controls as well. So it just depends on whether or not you have Tarsi built up or Arden built up to actually fully utilize Bonnie in this team itself. So yep, that's pretty much it for this video. Just a simple sharing of what is currently one of the most meta control PvE teams right now, and Bonnie is part of it, and I can see more users for her as we tap on all the different combinations that could go well with her support as well as damage capabilities itself. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.